Hello, it is Wednesday, March 31st, 2021. Hey, how's it going, Omar? Today we're going to be working on some Asteroid stuff, or a remake of Asteroids whenever Unity wants to load up. Let's check this out. Okay, that's working. My camera, I've just noticed, is not working, and my internet just dropped a little bit, so that's fun. Let's wait for that to stabilize for a second. Okay, it looks like everything is going well. We can get rid of that. Change. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So I think, yeah, okay, I think everything's stabilized. I don't know what just happened there. Let me activate my camera and deactivate it. So I spent a little bit of time this morning doing some of the rebranding stuff. You can see some of the new stuff is already visible, which I'm happy about. So I updated the static pre-stream thing to this, the intermission, and ooh, that cut out for a second. Whoops. Whoops. Nope, that's wrong. That's right. Okay. Apologies. I forgot that one of those doesn't actually have an audio source. But yeah. So this is a very unique version of the Asteroids game. It started out as an Asteroids remake and then became, well, what if you're on acid while you're playing Asteroids? And this was our answer. So I kind of like it. Oh, the face cam. Yeah, so about that, the face cam image is flat. And so the problem with that is that if I'm rendering a camera over that, it like renders it on a new layer. So I can't set it to, well, I guess I could set it to black as the, well, no, that wouldn't work. Or wait, could I? I'll have to test out the face cam. The problem with it is that it's a flat image, and so I'm gonna have to mess with it a little bit to make it actually work. So if I try to render a camera over it, it will just block out some of the name. But if I render a camera behind it, it won't be visible through it. So since it doesn't have an alpha channel, it's a little bit of an issue. But yeah, that's why I don't have it running. But yeah, we came up with the idea of what if you're on acid while you're playing Asteroids, and yeah, we get this answer. I kind of like it. Yeah, apologies, but yeah, I'll mess with it a little bit and try to make it work. But yeah. As you can see, we have a couple post-processing effects running. We're rendering in lower quality, like much lower quality than we normally would, and the screen kind of warps a little bit over time. But yeah, we don't have any of the other mechanics besides moving and shooting because, you know. But today we're gonna actually make those. The asteroids do have colliders, so all we need to do is we need to make these larger asteroids split into smaller asteroids when they're hit by a bullet, and then we need the score to update. So let us work on that. So there's two ways that we could do that. One of them is that we could have the bullet itself. Do we have a bullet script? We do not. Okay. So we created a projectile component, or just say bullet component. It's probably fine. And so what this will do is it will go on one of the bullet prefabs. So we do have our little bullet prefab here. It has a rigid body, but it does not have a collider, so I'm going to add a circle collider 2D. That's a bit large, so I'm going to put it at maybe 0.05. But anyway, how are you doing, Omar? How's it going? Minus 0.05? Probably fine. That's probably fine. Well, 0.04. Yeah, there we go. And maybe have 0.5. 0.5? Oh, sorry, 0.05. 0.06? Yeah, that's probably good. So that'll be sort of the size of the collider. We'll make it a trigger. That way, whenever it collides with other things, it doesn't move them around. And then we'll add the bullet component to this. So now we have everything sort of ready with the bullet. And so just to test this out for the first time, what we're going to do is whenever we collide with something, we're going to just destroy it. Or whenever we collide with an asteroid specifically, we're going to destroy it. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to double click on. So what we're going to do is in the bullet component, when two things collide in Unity, a method called onTriggerEnter is called. So we're going to say private void, and if we start typing onTrigger, the newer, at least Visual Studio will give us sort of the suggestions here. These are all sort of Unity messages. So the one we want is onTriggerEnter 2D. So this will be called when another 2D collider enters a trigger on whatever object this bullet component is on. And so what we'll do is we'll say, so the collision is the actual collider, not the collision. This is the collider. Actually, we'll just call this other. I always do that. So that's the other collider. So what we want to know is we want to know if the bullet collided with an asteroid, then what will happen is the other dot. Why did you change your Twitch icon /avatar? Because Omar made us a new one, and I kind of like his version a lot better than my own. But hey, W, how's it going? Yeah, the one that I ended up making was not very good, but yeah, I like the new one. It kind of gets the point across a little bit better. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I think Omar did a really good job with it. But I don't know. Have you seen our version of Asteroids here? With the with the acid trip kind of vibe going. Oh, McAfee, shut up. This was the result of a couple days of work. I think it's kind of cool. One thing I really love is the particle trail. Yeah, talking about the profile. Yeah, I saw some yesterday. Yeah, right now we're actually trying to add the mechanics to it. I'm trying to explain that a little bit. But yeah. Yeah, Omar, I think everyone likes the new profile thing because it's a lot better than the one that I was able to create. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if the other object that we just collided with is an asteroid. So that would be we're going to store an asteroid component. I'm going to call this asteroid. We're going to say is equal to other.getComponent, and it'll be the asteroid component. And so what we can do is we can say if the asteroid doesn't exist, we'll say if asteroid, and you're not into the intermission screen. What do you mean not into it? You are not into the intermission screen? What do you mean? I actually added it. So I have it here. I just haven't used it. If you're talking about like the pre-stream thing, like the one with the ship, I need to do a little bit of work because I want some of these to be animated, so I just need to animate the backgrounds for them. But yeah, so we can say if asteroid not equal to null in Unity, components can be converted to null for free. So we can actually say we don't need the not equals null. We can just say if not asteroid. And this will check if it's null. If it's null, it will return false. But if it isn't null, or sorry, yeah, if it's null, then this will evaluate to true. And so if there's no asteroid, we just want to return because we don't want to do anything. We don't care. We don't care if the bullet hits anything that's not an asteroid. And if it is, we're just going to say asteroid. Actually, let's create a method here. Public void on hit. Another thing has chat box. Oh, that. Yeah, that I need to do a couple things with as well. Because since that's a flat image, I need to pull out some of the layers so that I can put the face cam and stuff behind everything. Like flat images for OBS doesn't really deal with flat images very well. They need to actually have their layers pulled out. But yeah, I need to do some of that. We're going to say asteroid.onHit. Yeah. But don't worry, I'll get the intermission stuff working as well. So, in onHit, all we're going to do is we're just going to destroy this game object just for the purposes of testing, just to kind of demonstrate that it works. So if I did everything right, this should work. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's probably true with other things. It just doesn't know how to deal with an image that's not flat. Or, yeah, it doesn't really know. It has to do with just alpha layers and stuff like that. It doesn't know how to deal with an image that's not flat. That's just the main issue. So yeah, as you can see with the asteroids, if a bullet hits one of them, they get destroyed. That's good. Right now what we need to do is we kind of need to track, or we need the asteroid to spawn some child objects if it gets destroyed. So what we can do is we can either, there's a couple ways we can do that, but what we're going to do is we're going to store the objects that we're going to spawn whenever this thing is destroyed, and then we are going to have different prefabs for each like kind of size of asteroid. So we're going to say protected game object, and we will use a list. So we're going to say using Unity, well, yeah, we're going to say using Unity Engine, or not Unity Engine, but system collections generic. I'm going to create a list here. And this will be, I guess, spawn on death. Yep, that'll work. Then we'll just serialize that so that it's visible in the Unity inspector. And then whenever the asteroid takes a hit, what we will do is we'll say for each game object, say prefab in spawn on death. Then what we want to do is we want to instantiate that prefab. We'll say at this asteroid's position, and we will use a, let's say, is there like a quaternion.random? No. Is there a random.rotation? There is a random rotation. But that's not going to do what we want. Is there a random.direction or .vector? No. Okay. I'm trying to think. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say transform.up. And in Unity, you can multiply a vector by a rotation. And so since we're in 2D space, we can use either up or right. We're just going to say quaternion.Euler. Well, actually, no, this is rotation, sorry. So we're just going to say quaternion.Euler, and then the only part of the rotation we care about is the Z rotation. So we'll just say random.range from 0 to 360. That way the asteroids will kind of spin off in a random direction. We'll say transform.position. That's where we're going to instantiate that. Then in awake, actually no, sorry, whenever this gets awakened, it will move in a random direction. Well, actually, that's interesting. Okay, that'll be fine, because this will spawn it at a random rotation. So yeah, I think this will work. Oh yeah, also we probably, well no, that's fine. Yeah, okay. That's fine. So what we'll do is let's delete a couple of these. And this will be, oh wow, that's trippy. That's really trippy. We're seeing what the camera is rendering. Oh geez, that's not how that, okay, that's really weird. Let's go to prefabs. This will be the asteroid large, and we'll just delete this. Then we'll get a medium version and a small version. Let's say medium, and then we'll have like a small version. Alright, so for asteroid medium, I guess this is going to be at 111. Yeah. And then the actual size of the polygon collider, we're going to have to reduce that. So we can click this button and just move these down. But yeah, we'll spawn basically like two of the medium ones every time we destroy a large one, and we'll spawn two of the small ones every time we destroy a medium one. So this will be like the medium one, that'll be fine. And then for the small one, I think we're going to change this to be 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. And the actual sprite is going to be a hexagon, not an octagon. Just make it a little bit different. That's probably fine. And we do need to change the collider now. So one thing I learned is apparently if you want to get rid of an edge, you have to hit control on the edge itself. If you want to get rid of a vertex, you have to hit control on the edge. That's just super weird to me. I don't fully understand why Unity would do it that way. Yeah. Oh, whoops, that's not what I want. I'm going to click and drag all of these so that they are in a good position. Okay. So now, in the asteroid large, we will go into here. In spawn on death, we will add 2 to the list. Say that this is an asteroid medium. Asteroid medium. And then in the medium itself, we will grab 2 of these, and then we'll say asteroid small. There we go. And the asteroids small themselves are not going to actually spawn anything. So let's see what happens. Oh right, we should actually add some asteroids to the scene. That would help. So let's duplicate that. Let's say maybe 3 of these. That's probably fine. Then after this, we can work on the death condition. So great, we have that. Now, if we actually manage to hit an asteroid, all right. Here's a good position. All right, shoot at that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, right, we don't destroy ourselves. Whoops. Okay. So what was happening there is a bunch of things were being spawned. What we need to do is we need to first, whenever the bullet hits an asteroid, we need to destroy the bullet. So we need to destroy ourselves, and then in the asteroid, after we instantiate everything, we need to destroy ourselves. Destroy ourselves. There we go. But yeah, what was happening is just a bunch of different things were spawning, and yeah. We don't need to move. All we need to do is find an asteroid in a good position. That's a good one. So yeah, as you can see, now it breaks into 2, and that'll break into 2 smaller ones, and then these, yeah. And then after we destroy the smaller ones, they don't break into anything else. Okay, I kind of like that. So now, what we need to do is so there's a couple things. One, each different size of asteroid is worth a different number of points, and also I think the asteroids speed up as they what is it? They like speed up as they get smaller. So with that, we can do a protected, let's say vector 3, or no, protected float. This will be the speed, and then we can serialize this. And then we can set that to 1.0. And then what we want to do is we want to say that this is the direction. So we'll say vector 3 direction is equal to this. What we actually would like to do is the direction is going to be, let's not do that. What we would probably want to do is instead of setting the velocity to be something random, we probably just want to set the rotation. So we just want to say transform.rotation equals whatever this is, this random rotation here. And then the velocity can be equal to the speed times transform.forward. That way we'll just always move forward. And then in here, all we need to do is we just need to say quaternion.identity will be the spawn position, or the spawn rotation. And yeah, all of this should work. So now whenever the whenever it spawns, it'll get a random rotation. And yeah, so what we can do now is in asteroid large. This should have a speed of 1. And so the medium, we can just set maybe a speed of 1.5, and small maybe 2.5. Maybe that'll be fine. Let's check it out. That's interesting. Oh, right. I keep getting this wrong. It's not transform.forward, it's transform.up, because we're in 2D. I could use transform.right as well, I believe. It really wouldn't matter, but yeah, now we get them moving. Okay. And so we hit one, and now they move a little bit faster, and then let's see how fast the little ones move. Yeah, they move a bit too fast. Okay. Whoops, that's not in here. That is in here. So let's say that they're at 2. Alright. So yeah, large ones move like that, small ones move like that. Yeah, okay. I kind of like that. I don't know. Okay, yeah, all that's fine. Okay, so the next thing we probably want to do is we probably want to get the score system working. Then we can work on death a little bit later. Yeah, I really do like how this is sort of shaping up. So for the score system, there's a couple ways we could do this. The way that I think we're going to do it is we're going to have some kind of UI manager component. So let's say C# script, this will be a UI manager component. And what that's going to do is it's going to live on the canvas, and it's going to mess with this score text. So this is a TextMesh Pro text component. So to reference that, we can go into, where did I put it? Where did it appear? Here it went. All right, go in here. And this, I think we need using TMP or TM Pro. This is the TextMesh Pro package. So to reference the TextMesh Pro text component, we're going to say protected, it's TMP underscore. And so this is where all the TextMesh Pro sort of assets are. And in our case, it's TextMesh Pro or TMP text. And then this will be the score. Yeah, this will be the score underscore, because it's a protected variable. Then this will be serialized field, so we can assign that in the inspector. And then we want to do the same thing with this that we do with the game manager, is we probably just want like an instance of it. So I'm just going to copy this, and then we can put it over here. And this will be the UI manager component instance. Yeah. And then what we can do is we can either have a method to update the score, or we can have a property. I think we're just going to have a method for it. It's going to be public void, let's say add score. And this will be whatever amount. And we also need a private void awake, because we need to assign this instance at some point. What we'll say is we'll say instance equals this, and we'll say if instance, there is an existing instance, then we just destroy ourselves. Should be fine. And we also want to return. Okay. And so in the add score, we need to track the current score. So say protected int current score. This will start off as 0, that'll be fine. So say current score plus, oops, say current score plus equal to amount. And then the score itself, we need to actually set the text. After we do that, say score.text. And then I think we can do amount.toString. And I think this has formatting options. Yes, okay. So in Asteroids, I believe the score appears, I think it's with 5 zeros all the time. So it's like, if you have a score of 10, it's like 0, 0, 0. So, okay. If your score is 10, I believe that appears as like 0, 0, 0, 10, or something like that. And so we kind of want that to happen. So in C#, if you want a string to have a certain format, or if you want an integer, for instance, to have a certain format, you can say toString, and then what you put in here is the actual format. And so formatting is a very old thing that a lot of languages support nowadays. And one of the common ways of doing it is if you put a 0, that means that like a 0 always displays. And if you put a number, I think it'll display the number if it exists. So in this case, we want 5 zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so what this will do is if the score is, say, 10, it'll just replace the second 0. And if the score doesn't have like 5 place values in it, what it'll do is it'll just left pad with 0, basically. So in the asteroid component now, what we need to do is we actually need to call this from the asteroid component. So what I'll do is I'll have a protected int, and this will be the, I guess, points. Sure. And then in serialize field, we'll serialize it just so that we get something, or that we can assign it in the inspector. So I think like larger asteroids are probably going to be worth less, is the way that it's going to work. And so in the on hit, whenever we destroy this, what we do is we'll say UI manager component dot instance, because this is the global reference, and we'll say dot add score, and we'll add whatever points is. And that should increase the points based on, or whenever an asteroid gets destroyed. So what we have to do now is we have to go into prefabs, and we have to assign each asteroid a point value. So I guess we'll just say that the bigger ones are worth, I don't know, 10, and we'll say 50. And then the medium ones are probably worth like 75, and smaller ones are probably worth, I don't know, 100. I think that'll work. Just because they're harder to hit. And so actually we'll get an error if we try to do that. What we need to do is we need to go into the canvas and we need to add a UI manager component. And we need to grab score and drag it into here. And now everything should work. So if I turn and shoot you, we get 50 points, and then this should bring us to 125. Whoops, that's interesting. What's happening there? Oh, am I formatting a mount? I'm formatting a mount. What I need to do is instead of formatting the amount of score that we just got, we need to format the current score. That's what we need to do. And we could have done that a couple other ways, but we're going to do it that way. That way, now we'll see the score actually increase over time, as opposed to just being the most recent thing. Okay. So yeah, now you can see that we have, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I really like that. That's fun. Do need some kind of death animation at some point. And it's a question of whether the score itself should change. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I think we can do it with the material, but I'm going to have to look at that. So, alright. I'm curious, should it change? Should the score itself change colors? I mean, I'm guessing it should, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it makes too much sense for it too. Okay. So the way that we did the color changing for the other part, or for the other objects, is with a color, I think it's color copy, we called it? Yeah, color copy, and what it does is it basically just grabs the sprite renderer, and then the game manager keeps track of this global color field that we can use, and that just lurps between random colors, and so we just need to make something similar for this, for the actual TextMesh Pro component. So I believe the way that the TextMesh Pro stuff works is it has a material. And so I think if we go into select shader, I think this is what we want, is the face color. Is that right? Face color, or is it the vertex color? Is that what we want? Yeah, we want the vertex color. Okay, never mind. So, okay. So what we need to do is, I guess this is a property of the TMP text component. Let's create that. Let's do a new item, mono behavior, and this will be the color copy text component, just in case we have more text that needs to copy this. And then in the private void update, we will reference using TMP. using TM Pro, yeah. And then we will have a serialized field, which will be a protected TMP text. And this will be whatever our text is. Then in private void awake, we will just grab the text from our Gale object. So we'll say text equals get component TMP text. Then here, I think we can say text.vertex color. Oh, that's not how that works. Okay, interesting. .color? Oh, just text.color, I guess. And then that will be equal to GameManagerComponent.instance.color. Let's see if that works. That would be really convenient if it worked. All right, so we need to add that to this score. So say color copy text. And let's see what happens. Oh, yep, that just works. Okay, I'm happy about that. So now we can apply that to any other kind of text we want. Okay. So we do need a couple things. One of them, I do want the asteroids whenever they explode to have some kind of effect. You know, actually, it's interesting. It may be worth just not having the text change color because now it's really hard to see what your score is. But to be fair, I mean, really, how often do you want to look at your score? Let's think about that. I don't know, we need to add a couple other things too, like sound effects, but yeah, this is actually really hard to play. I will put out a web build of this at some point, so you can try to play it as well. Yeah, I'm very happy with this. Okay, so what we need to do, that's interesting. Yeah, what we need to do is we need a particle effect for when the asteroids die. So there's a couple ways we could do that. I think what we probably want to do is we probably just want to go into the prefab and edit this, because otherwise we're gonna have to do it on this screen, and it's gonna be next to impossible. So I'm gonna grab whatever the player's ship or whatever the trail is here, and we're gonna copy this. Then we're going to hop into a large asteroid. Yeah. All right, and we're going to paste this into here. And we're going to put this at 0, 0. So this is a trail rendering sort of component. We don't want that. We want to change the emission. So we want the emission to be rate over time. No. We want it to be like a burst. And so yeah, we'll just have like a burst of that. And you can see now it's doing the burst thing. It needs to have a start speed. So we'll say 1 maybe? No, start speed can be 5. Yeah, because it needs to have a lot of power behind it. And actually this needs to be a curve. Because kind of what we want is we want the speed to sort of die off over time at some point. I think. Oh, this is a start speed. No, sorry. It's not start speed. It's speed over lifetime, I believe. Lifetime, it's color over lifetime, color by speed, size over lifetime, velocity over lifetime, right. It's not linear, it's going to be a curve. And that's interesting. That's really not what I had wanted. I kind of wanted to edit all of them at once, but sure. So I think we can do this. Let's copy this, let's paste this here and paste that there. It's not doing what I wanted. Okay. Let's set this as a curve. Let's edit this. There we go. Okay. That's interesting that's going negative. Right, we don't want that. We want that at 0. Wait. It's hard to tell where that value actually is. It seems to be going negative, but no. Let me just set these to be constant. Yeah, we kind of want that to happen. I just want the speed modifier. I don't know why. I don't know why it seems to be going to one direction like that. That's weird. Set the radius to 1. Yeah, it definitely seems to be concentrated in one direction, and I don't know why. But we're at speed modifier. Let's use that as the base curve. Maybe there just aren't enough particles for me to see it. Let's try 100. No, it is definitely concentrated in the upper right here. But it should be a sphere. Actually, it really should be a circle, right? Yeah, why is it concentrated there? That's the pivot. So the pivot should be at 0. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's weird. Is that a velocity over lifetime feature? Yeah, it is. Yeah, the velocity over lifetime is causing that to happen. Yeah, I really should... If I just reset you to constant... No, that's... I guess it needs to be in the XYZ axis. Otherwise... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that's happening. Not gonna worry about it. Limit velocity over lifetime. So dampen, I think at 0.1 is probably, yeah, there we go. We can just dampen the speed over time. Yeah, so set the dampening. And maybe start speed is 7, yeah. That way we get a really quick burst. That's what we want. Okay. Obviously we don't want this many particles, maybe 50. Yeah, that's probably good. And the actual renderer. So I am trying to think, what are the properties of this? So this is a sprite's default material. So I think what we want is we want our own sort of material. We want a normal material. This is going to be in particles standard unlit, probably. And then this map can be a circle. Oh, it's not opaque, it's transparent. Is that right? Yeah. Then in here, we can apply that material to you. I don't know why that's not working. Should be a standard unlit cutout. There we go. That's what we want. This will be the explosion. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then what we probably want is we probably want to randomize this a little bit. Random between two constants. Yeah, let's say 5 to 7 is probably fine. And then start lifetime, maybe a random between two constants. I don't know, 0.7 to 0.6 to be 0.8 or something. And we probably want color over lifetime. I think those are fading out of existence, but I can't tell. Hey, Grumpy Game Dev, how's it going? So we are doing a little bit of work on a particle system. Interesting. It goes, yeah, I've been there as well. Okay, there we go. With fade, now it actually fades out like it should. Right. Yeah, we're working on, actually, let me just show you what we're working on. It's kind of cool. Or SpaghettiOs system. Yeah, it really is kind of like SpaghettiOs. It basically makes as much sense as everything else in this game. So I started off making a remake of Asteroids, and chat has encouraged me to make it a version of Asteroids that people are playing on acid, which I like the idea. I think it's kind of neat. But anyway, we need a particle system for when asteroids die. And so yeah, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, that's what we got now. So it's fun. Particles. But yeah, actually that'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. So let's go to prefabs. Let's go into asteroid large. Yeah, I kind of like it. Yeah, this should play, this shouldn't loop. Why is it not, let's play. Yeah, okay. I think the particles need to be larger though. Need to be like between maybe 0.25 and 0.4? Probably, is that? No, that's a bit large. 0.3 and 0.15. Yeah, that'll work. Maybe just have a little bit less in terms of lifetime. Say 0.5 and 0.6. Yeah, there we go. I think that'll work. Pro tip, don't make particles larger than the thing. Yeah. No, I mean, the particles, yeah, I guess they are a bit large. Say 0.1 to 0.2 maybe. I mean, I know that like the explosion kind of bursts out. No, I like the 0.15 and 0.25. I like them at this size. Yeah, I think they're fine there. And I guess we'll say 0.7 to 0.9, and then we'll just decrease the lifetime. 0.4 to 0.6 or 0.5, because I don't want them to spill out that far. Yeah, I think that's fine. Alright, just have to deal with it for now. And then we'll just make this its own like prefab, and then we can just delete this. Alright, and so we'll just do this the easy way, because this is kind of a, I don't know, beginner focus sort of thing. We will have, actually we can just have this as part of the spawn on death thing. Actually, that's perfect. Okay. And then after that, or if that's true, what we need is we need a script for destroying things after a certain time. So, I don't know, destroy after seconds. Sure, that'll work. Just create a destroy after seconds component, and what we'll do is we will have a protected float, and then this will be the lifespan of whatever it is, and then it'll be serialized field lifespan, and then in private void awake we'll just use destroy destroy ourselves as a game object and cross lifespan. Yeah, there we go. So this will just destroy this game object after a certain amount of time. And so we'll apply that to the explosion, and then we can have the asteroid spawn the explosion on death, and everything should just work from there. So let's see how that works out. So in prefab explosion, we'll add a destroy after seconds. Where did that go? Went right there. Okay. So I think we need to destroy this after, let's say, 1 second. That'll give the particle system enough time to play. It shouldn't loop. Has a duration of 1 second. That's good. And then in here, we'll just add the explosion to one of the things that it spawns when it dies. Same thing for you. We might need to change the size of, we'll need to change the size of the explosion, actually. Yeah, we'll need to scale it, but it'll be fine. Need to create like different sized explosions, but it'll be fine. All right. Yeah, let's check this out. Now the explosion particles themselves won't change color, unfortunately. No such thing as too big of an explosion. Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the size of the thing you're destroying, right? For those, it might actually be too big there. Whoops. Yeah, the thing is that the small ones, they also use the same explosion. So, oh god, LinkedIn, no. So the problem is that you'll have like this really tiny, thing, and it will massive explosion associated with it. Come on. As you can tell, I was never very good at asteroids. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely needs to be scaled a little bit. All right. So let's just duplicate this a couple times. Say, let's say explosion large, explosion small, or explosion medium, and explosion small. All right. So, Grumpy, Clint Grumpy. What kind of stuff do you do? Do you use Unity or do you use like Godot or Unreal or something? Also, do you stream? I'm afraid to check this. Don't go. You go to. Nope. It's not what I wanted you to do. Silly thing. Oh, Twitch. I hate Twitch so much. Oh, you do stream. Okay. Oh, custom engine. Okay. Are you by chance doing the dungeon crawler? Yeah, the DC Game Jam. Oh, are you the one who's been talking about which is how it became where we? Ah, okay. So you saw me through Discord. I'd hoped the Discord stuff would or no, or did you see it on itch.io? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think I've seen you in the chat a little bit talking about on the itch page. Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen you in the chat a little bit talking with Dan about your engine and stuff like that. You were doing some optimization work, right? Tend not to chat a lot in Discords. Ah, okay. But were you the one that was doing the optimization work, or is that somebody else? Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to watch the custom engine stuff. Like I've done game engines before, but I'm just a bit too lazy to do it anymore. I admire people who can do it though. I can't. It's too much. I'm just like, nope, give me all the pre-made stuff. It's fine. But then again, whenever I did build an engine, it was in Java, so maybe that tainted my view of it. In the end, they all wind up with scene graph. Yeah, basically. Yeah. They all wind. I mean, everything ends up as like, wait a minute, why is that not working? Oh, I know why that's not working. Okay. Yeah, everything, it all just ends up the same, and it just gets, you know. I don't know. It all feels the same, and then it all feels different, and you always have like the grandiose visions of like I can make something better than anyone else can, and then you're like, oh, this is why everyone made the mistakes that they made. So why is that not showing? Did I put 0 somewhere? I put 0 somewhere. That's why. Okay. But yeah, I'm not actually doing the Dungeon Crawler Jam stuff yet. I'll be streaming it later today though, because I do like a sort of an earlier stream, which is this one, and then I do a bit of a later stream. Alright, maybe that normal explosion is a bit too large. That one's probably fine though. But let's see, how big are these? Okay, those look fine. Those look fine to me. Maybe a bit fewer particles. Typically stream at 0400. What time zone? Like I'm in US San Antonio. Yeah, okay. These need to have fewer numbers of particles. CDT. Okay. Oh, that's super convenient. Okay. So yeah, same time zone. Oh, you're in Wisconsin. Yeah, that's super convenient. Wow, I didn't realize Wisconsin was in the central time zone. Wow. I guess parts of Wisconsin probably are. But isn't... Oh, wait, are parts of Wisconsin in Eastern? I actually don't remember. Why was I thinking it was in Eastern? Or at least parts of it were in Eastern. Maybe I'm just crazy. Am I crazy? Are there parts of Wisconsin that are in Eastern? The whole thing is CDT. Wow. Okay. I don't know why I thought that. Okay. Must be going crazy. And then the small explosion. Thinking in Michigan. Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean I have family in Wisconsin, so like I've been there a couple times, but yeah, I always thought that part of it was in Eastern for some reason. I don't know. If you're in Texas, so all look the same. Well, so I'm not actually like originally from Texas. I'm from Florida, which, you know, that's even better. They're even better. Yeah, I've been to Wisconsin a couple times, especially during the winter. It's like, you know, it's too much for me. So that's kind of why I choose to live in Texas. Okay, so we need to make sure that the actual particles themselves change color based on whatever. Oh, based on whatever color the asteroid was. So the problem, interesting. So this doesn't copy that. Ooh, that's very interesting. So what I want is I want a color. I want a way to copy the color that's on the game manager currently has, and it needs to set it into the actual particle itself. So I think in the player controller we reference particle system here. Yeah, we do. Okay. And so yeah, this is how we do it in the particle system, or in the player. And what that causes to happen is that causes the sort of rainbow trail, because each different particle gets a different color. What we want to happen is we want sort of a color copy particle system. So a color copy particle system component. So what this will do is on awake, in private void awake, we'll just do this, and we will have a particle system here. Really, we don't need, oh no, that's fine. So yeah, we'll have a protected particle system. Yeah, particle system, this will just be particles. And then yeah, just set that. Alright. So I have serialized field, okay. So now what will happen is on awake, the particle system will get its start color set to whatever the game manager's current color is, which is the, it's like the color that everything is on the screen, so the particle system will have the color of whatever the screen color was at the time. And like the, you know, how everything flashes different colors. And what we need to do is on the explosions, we need to actually add that. So yeah, we'll have color copy the particle system. And we actually need to set the particle system, wherever that might be. It's in here, right, okay. Just grab that, all right. Then in medium, we will do a similar thing. Oops, nope. Let's see, is the explosion large? Yes, this one needs it as well. It's probably a more efficient way to do this, but, you know, not really thinking about that right now. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I cannot hit you. Yeah, okay, so that changed colors, that one changed colors, and I think most of these changed colors. Yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, the particles are whatever color everything was whenever they get spawned. And I kind of like that. What I don't like is that the actual like trail makes it kind of hard to see the player. I'm not a huge fan of that, but not entirely sure how that can be fixed. Just because the way that Unity works, it's hard. Because the way that Unity works, it's hard to make 3D and 2D rendering work together correctly. And so the particles are technically being rendered in 3D. So yeah, it's kind of a pain. I guess I can move the trail a little bit further behind the player. I guess that'll help. Then it might look like it's disconnected. Yeah, that's probably a little bit better. I mean, it looks a little bit disconnected, but not as much as I might have expected. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. Of course, we don't have any death condition yet, but that's fine. That's always just an annoyance. But yeah, I'm kind of happy with this. So we do need to have some kind of victory condition as well at some point. But are there any other effects that we could be adding? So at this point, It's more of an activity than a game. Yeah, it's more of a it's more of a screensaver. I mean, it's not even really a screensaver because it doesn't. I mean, it really would save your screen. Like it would make sure that all the pixels were thoroughly exercised. That's for sure. But yeah, it's more of a screensaver. So what kind of game are you going to make for the Dungeon Crawler Jam? Like, what kind of theme are you going for? Because what I'm going for is I'm going for something, trying to think of how to describe it. It was a game that I played, it was called Medieval Upbringing, and I really liked the concept. It was basically like you learn skills to increase stats and other things. Mostly a minimalist, I see. Yeah. Yeah, like what kind of stuff are you thinking? Like what kind of theme? Like anything crazy? Or are you just gonna make like a, I don't know, sort of standard dungeon crawler? Yeah, the one that I'm going to do is it's kind of like a nautical themed one. So each of the dungeons is kind of like a ship, and so yeah, it's been kind of fun trying to write a not a rendering engine, but a tile-based movement engine in Unity, especially in 3D, because like the 2D one is kind of cool, but it's not not sufficient for the not the kind of rendering that we need to do for the Dungeon Crawler Jam. Okay. So let's think about this. How could we do different levels? Nothing crazy. I'm mostly going to play it straight initially because, I mean, to hit each of the requirements quickly before pivoting. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I mean, I have been working a little bit ahead of time on like just the movement stuff because it's super generic, and like rendering like the dungeons and how you encode the maps and stuff like that. Not like actual map design or anything like that, but just sort of how you do all that. Okay. So I guess what we can do is when an asteroid gets destroyed, we can then check if there are any other asteroids on the screen. Or not on the screen, but we can check if any other asteroids are in existence. If there are none, then the level must be over. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Basic image rendering, sound playing, input handling. Ah, okay. Maze generation, but nothing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm basically doing the same thing. Just kind of getting all of like the scaffolding set up so you're kind of ready. It starts in like 5 hours or something, right? Oh, that's very interesting. That's not what I wanted. That's also not what I wanted. Wow. Where is it? It's in here? Yeah, I think it's here. At 1700. Why is... It's like 5 hours, yeah. 1700, yeah, okay. I wish everybody would use military time. That would just make everyone's life easier, wouldn't it? Wouldn't have to worry about 5 p.m., 5 a.m. It's just 1700. Alright. So yeah, that's what we'll do, is whenever the asteroid gets destroyed, we will call some function in the game manager, and then that will check if there are any other asteroids in existence. Alright. So have a public public void on asteroid destroyed. So what we'll do is we will check system collections generic. Got into the habit when I was in the military, and it's absolutely essential when talking to people on Twitch. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, yeah, I mean, well, it's really true of any like online communication, right? Like it makes everything just easier. Yeah, I think in Twitch you're right, because people, it's less uncommon for people to be doing things at 1 or 2 a.m. relative to other people. I mean, the only problem is you just have to make sure that you know the time zone, right? So we'll have a list. Oh wait, no, does this return a list? I don't remember. I think if we say find objects of type, this will return an array. It's not what I want. So we'll say asteroid component And then we want using system.link. Yeah, I'll just grab link. So for your custom engine, what language do you use for that? I'm kind of curious as to what everybody is gonna choose to use. I imagine it's probably C or something, right? That's what I would guess. So this will let us. Okay, so yeah, this will just convert, this toList will just convert the array to a list. You can say if asteroids dot count is greater than or is less than 1 or is equal to 0, sure, or not equal to 1, equal to 0. Then we'll just say debug.log game over or level completed. C++, okay. Relying on SDL. Rendering, okay. Not familiar with SDL. I assume it's like a probably just like a rendering library, like graphics library, right? Yeah, I can't. My main languages are like Java and C#. I've done a little bit of like C and C++, but I've never got into using them. libstl. Oh, it's the simple direct media. Okay. Oh, so it's cross-platform. Okay. Well, that's cool. That's been used for. Huh. I've actually seen Speedrunner. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was made in C++. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Yeah, I'd seen Speedrunner before. I never realized that. I'd always thought that it was an Unreal game. Okay. It's used for a lot of things. Okay. Yeah, it seems like it seems like pretty popular, or it seems like it has pretty decent documentation, which usually means that something is pretty popular. Licensing. Oh wow. It's an as-is license. Okay. Wiki. Huh. Oh, there's even books. Wow. That's crazy. It's an STL binding for C#. Oh, wow. Okay. I might have to give that a go someday then. That's kind of cool. Oh yeah, that would make sense. So it's like a .NET. It's like a .NET thing. It has like, I guess, .NET. Yeah. Probably. Yeah, I learned very early to not make games in Java. It's too much of a headache. If I was ever gonna make a game like without Unity, I would definitely have to pick C# just because there's too many things that C# has that Java doesn't. You can pinvoke into .NET. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, if I were ever gonna make something, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it in Java. It'd be too much. Ooh, okay. So this will be a problem because, huh? Oh yeah, that'll be an issue, won't it? Interesting. Because what's going to happen? This is not going to work. Instance. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. Or will it? I actually don't know. Because my theory is that this won't work because we call this. Actually, I should call it after the destroy just to be double sure. But I think the destroy will still allow us. I think the destroy will still return. Modern Java has started to approach the other modern languages. They have like lambdas and optionals. Yeah, they do, but the problem with Java, like they're trying to make it more modern, but they're missing a ton of stuff. Like I mean, lambdas were a huge step for Java, but it's still missing. I mean, like it doesn't even have operator overloading yet, and I mean they're doing stuff with like type inferencing, but it's still got a long way to go in terms of C#, or in terms of like just the missing features. Like they don't have the same like generic constraints the same way that you can constrain generics in C sharp. Like in C sharp, you can guarantee if you have like a generic, you can guarantee that it's a oh, what's the word? Is it reifiable? You can guarantee that it's a reifiable type, whereas in Java you can't. And so that produces some issues with like factory patterns and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So this causes issues. Okay. But yeah, it's missing that. C sharp has stuff like indexers that Java doesn't have. What else is it missing? Java's missing string interpolation. I mean, templating would be kind of nice, but they don't have it. I mean, to be fair, C sharp doesn't have that either. What else are they missing? They're missing like extension methods. That would be nice. Mix-ins would be really nice. C sharp sort of has those, but it really doesn't. God, what else are they missing? They're missing so much. I mean, if C sharp and Java wanted to add quotation, I wouldn't be too unhappy with that. I mean, for C sharp, it's technically possible because you have like F sharp. So I guess you could write something in F sharp and then decompile it into C sharp to get templating, or not templating, but quotation. But that would be a hard way to do it, but you could at least do it. Extensions are a bit of a double-edged sword. Yeah, they are, but well, I mean, I guess what's the downside to an extension method? I'm not like I guess I could think of some, but not really. Like, what's the major one that you're thinking of? Because I mean, to be fair, I abuse the heck out of them, but yeah, curious what your thoughts are on that. So if we destroy, I think we want to do destroy immediate. I think we want to do destroy immediate because I think this will work. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of with extensions is like name conflicts or something. Like if someone defines an extension and you define another one with the same, oh, whoa, that's, ooh. Game objects is immediately during physics contact. Ooh, that's very interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess we just mark the asteroid as dead. I'll say dead, get protected. Set. So we're mocking an interface. I want to mock the operation, but an extension hides what method is actually called, and I have to figure out, oh, that's true. Now I figured out, oh, I didn't think of that. That's actually true, yeah. Want to mock the operation, but an extension hides what method is actually called. Huh. Yeah, I never really thought of that. That's a good point. It's interesting. I mean, you can tell that I don't really do a lot of testing with Unity. I mean, I should, but I don't. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious how people could get around that. That's very interesting. That's very, I don't know, that's just a whole new thing to think about. Yeah, I have to think about that a little bit more. That's very interesting. I've never actually heard anyone argue that against extension methods, but that's a good point. So what are your thoughts on the way that Java does, I guess, enumerations versus like C sharp? Because in C sharp, that's one of the things that I miss about Java is the enums in Java. They're so nice, so easy to do ridiculous things with them. Any alive. So we'll just say that we want asteroids. Use a where clause, sure. Asteroid. Java's enum is one of its better features. Okay, yeah, I agree. I really love the enum stuff. I wish other languages would let you do it. I mean, I guess it's one of the reasons that I like sort of the extension methods in C#, because they sort of let you get to that in some ways, but it's not great. Yeah, I wish more languages would copy that, or at least have some other construct for that. C#, you're pretty much stuck with extension methods to fake it. Yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, can you add implicit conversions in C#? Could you add an implicit conversion from an enum to an object? And the idea would be that you could store a static list of objects, and then you could have an enum that's sort of mapped to it, and then you'd use like an extension method to do that mapping. I mean, that's really ugly, but it would at least get you the sort of object-oriented aspect where you'd have polymorphism. Like that's one of the things about Java's sort of enums, is that it's harder to do polymorphism with them. Because if you want to do that, you have to have the enum conform to an interface. You can't like do a subclass of an enum type, which I wish you could do, but I understand there's issues with it. Yeah, I think you might be able to do something with implicit conversions where it would sort of look close to Java. Polymorphism it's not inherent good. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that they're not inherent goods, but they're not inherent evils either. They're just sort of like tools, and I don't know, like there's definitely cases where you would want it. But yeah, I agree. Like modern object orientation has a lot of issues with it, especially the way that it's taught in like universities and stuff. They don't really like in universities they show it as an inherent good by just reducing the complexity of the problem down to almost nothing. And so like in very simple problems it looks like it's really powerful, but in much larger systems it starts to run into problems. Especially with like single inheritance systems. That's one of the things that I admire about C++ is like the multi-inheritance. To be sure, there are places, yeah, but not nearly as much as, yeah, I agree. It gets way overused. Especially, well, I would say the part that gets overused is the inheritance. Is that people just, it seems like any problem people want to apply inheritance to, and they just, it seems like just the go-to tool whenever it's just completely unnecessary. I mean, if you have like multi-inheritance, it's probably fine, but yeah, it seems like inheritance just gets overused. Recently refactored my code base and converted completely OO-based primary procedural. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the procedural, or the declarative and sort of functional style. I'm not a huge fan of like the imperative stuff, but I sort of get the point of it. But yeah, that's sort of where I am at it. World is not a tree. We should not. Yeah, I agree. That's a very good way to say it. Is the world is not a tree. I mean, what people don't realize, I think, and someone pointed this out to me, is that a lot of the like sort of good quote unquote inheritance structures, like the some of the collections and some of like the input stuff that people commonly show, those are very old, like in abstractions. Like people had a lot of time to develop abstractions around collections and input streams and stuff like that, and so that's why those inheritance hierarchies tend to be okay. But like newer ones, problem with inheritance is like whenever you develop it wrong, it really hurts you, and it's very hard to get it right the first time, and people just don't notice that. But yeah, I agree, the world is not necessarily a tree, and so modeling it that way is useful in some ways, but in a lot of other ways it's just detrimental. Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed with like my previous job, is that we did software testing at my previous job, and we had like this web this website that we had to test, and we ended up sort of against my wishes. We ended up modeling it all as we ended up modeling all of the pages in like an inheritance hierarchy, and it did not age well, unfortunately. But, hey Zaysha, how's it going? We were just talking about a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of crazy you know, our feelings about inheritance and object orientation and all that stuff. I only really like inheritance when there's money involved. There are exactly two things that can be done in a code base. One, you can add features and junk it up, or two, you can refactor it and make it better, more reasonable. Yep, that's definitely true. It continues to do exactly what it did before. This is why I like interfaces, some nice perks over full-blown. Yeah, I agree. Always, what's the saying? It's program, well, no, that's actually a different phrase, but yeah, similar to the phrase program to an interface, not an implementation. Yeah, I tend to, in Java especially, I tend to overuse interfaces. But yeah, I agree that you can either, you know, you can either add more features to a code base, and that tends to, it's weird because like adding more features tends to increase sort of the incoherence of the code base, because like you're adding things that you didn't plan for, but then like refactoring it, you're kind of restoring the order to it. The problem, I guess the problem with like modern like programming is that there's no business value, or no obvious business value that gets gained by refactoring, so people tend not to do it because it's harder to justify. Yay, okay. So that works now. Very happy. But yeah, it recognizes when we win the game, or when we win the level. Alright, so we need to do a couple things. No short, yeah, I agree. No short-term business value. But it's, well, I guess the business, yeah, I agree that there's no short-term value. Like, I definitely agree that there is value in refactoring. You know, like it's very much required. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Problem is that the manager who is, you know, I guess the problem is it's very much encapsulated in, you know, the Homer Simpson where he's, you know, what does he do? I don't remember, but he says, you know, that's problem for future Homer. I'm glad I'm not that guy. I think that's sort of the mentality that people get, and it's very hard to, I don't know, it's very hard to justify to your manager why you're not making progress now. Yeah, it's like doing a woodworking project, but not. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. I'm copying that metaphor. I'm stealing that. Next time my manager is like, "Why do you want to do refactoring?" I'm just gonna send him this metaphor. Yep, that's being saved. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the equivalent of digital. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you walk in the, you know, if you do that for like 5 years, you know, you walk in the workshop and then, you know, you get splinters all over your feet and you know, wonder why nothing's getting done. It's like, I can't find anything. It's all covered in sawdust. But yeah, it's still a question of like how you know, how you justify it. But yeah, that's at least one issue, is that people can't. Please make use of it if it helps anyone's manager understand why. Yeah, okay, yeah, I definitely will. But yeah, like I've never found a good way to explain it, but I think that's probably the best metaphor that I can think of that I've heard. So it's a question of what we do whenever the game is actually over. I mean, we obviously want to spawn more asteroids. So there's something I don't know. The original Asteroids game. How does Asteroids like get more difficult? I actually don't know. Concept hardware implementation ports. Two saucers were formulated to be different from each other, steadily decreasing the timer. The player from not shooting. Keep the player from not shooting asteroids. Heartbeat soundtrack quickens as the game progresses. After you get rid of all of them, yeah, I mean I agree that like after, but does it spawn more asteroids, or does it just keep respawning the same number, or does it make them faster? Like how does it get harder over time? 5-button physics, spacebar, improve, programmed into it. Hyperspace does not place thumb, declassify the problem. Thrust button, more each time. Okay. Is it one more each time, or is it like two more, or re-releases clones? I am not seeing how it does it. Player can lose the game after one. I think it's one. Yeah, okay. If I recall. I mean, that sounds right to me, but I don't know. It starts at 3, okay. Slows down as the player, because there's no limit to the number of lives displayed. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I wonder if that has to do with, like, integer overflow or something. Or if it just crashes. That's really funny, though. There's no limit to the number that get displayed. Oh, does it just, like, run out of memory or something? Maybe that's it. The hardware. Ship was programmed into the hardware. That's crazy. And it was configured to move with it. That's insane. Wow, okay. Well then, we'll have to do a public void start level. Then what we'll do is we'll have the large asteroid prefab. That's how it was done. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy though that it was programmed. The ship itself was programmed to the hardware. That's insane. Like, I mean, like that probably gives you like insane, you know, like insane speed and stuff. But wow, talk about dedicated hardware. So yeah, these days we're spoiled by being able to do so much with software. Yeah, that's true. What is it? They always say that there's like a constant race between, you know, hardware developers to build more efficient hardware and software developers to build less efficient programs. It's the current level. Current level. So it's a question of how do we avoid spawning? Well, actually, no, that's not a question. Never mind. So for start level, what we'll do is we'll say that the asteroid count is equal to the level, or sorry, it'll be 3 plus, or no, it'll be 2 plus the level, because level will start at 1. It's the current level, so that should start us out at 3. So this will start us out at 3, and then we'll say asteroid, or say enumerable dot range 0 to hardware was a 6502. Is that like the? I'm not familiar with the 6502. Oh, same hardware as the Atari 2600. Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, hardware has been one of those things that I've never really gotten into. I really should. Like I'm very interested in it. I've just never had a chance to mess with it. I think asteroid we want to do instantiate. Actually, what we want to do is we want to say that the position. So I think we want to spawn these relatively like in a circle. Probably. What I'm worried about is well, no, we could clamp. What I'm worried about is how you can not spawn these on top of the player. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, you could do like a disjointed thing. 8-bit processor used in a lot of early home computers. Oh, okay. God, I can't imagine working on an 8-bit processor. My God. That's gotta be, that's limited to what? That's gotta have like serious memory limitations on it. Like, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine running code for that. That must be crazy. What am I trying to do? So I'm trying to do probably like vector3.up. So multiply vector3.up by a... Oh wait, can't do that. Oh yes, you can. Okay. Wait, we can rotate a vector by a rotation by doing that. Yeah, that'll be fine, because that'll give us a vector that will also be a position. So we'll say vector3.up times that times quaternion, whoops. Have you seen the breadboard computer by Ben? I've breadboard computer. Is it like just a computer made entirely on a breadboard? Let me check it out. Is it a YouTube thing? Oh, interesting. Oh, he's got a whole website. I assume this is what you're talking about. Build an 8-bit computer from scratch. Oh, wow. It's a whole build series. Oh, okay, so there's also a YouTube series, and he sells kits. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so in university, or in my university, we, as one of the more useful classes we did, we had to actually simulate a computer. We didn't actually have to build one, but we had to simulate one. So I'm vaguely familiar with computers, like I know the major parts. But yeah, let me look at this up. Let me look at this. Computer. Okay. So I'll have to check this out then, because this is neat. Like I've been wanting to, yeah, I'll have to check this out then. Yeah. It really breaks everything down. I learned a lot from those videos. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely have to watch that, because I've wanted to know a little bit about hardware. And so yeah, thanks for telling me about that. And that'll be something to do. So what did I do wrong? Operation cannot be applied to vector 3 and quaternion. Oh, is it quaternion by vector? Is that what it is? Yeah, there we go, and that's a vector 3. Yeah, there we go. And I think we can grab this. And I think we can say random.range between 1 and, say, 5. And this should spawn things on the screen, but it should also guarantee that they can't spawn on top of the player. We can instantiate the asteroid at position and quaternion.identity. And really, you can just be an underscore because we're never going to use you. Okay. So we should do this, and then whenever we after this, actually, let's do invoke. Can invoke start level in, I don't know, 1.5 seconds. I wish Unity, one thing that always annoyed me about Unity is that it doesn't have an invoke for lambdas. So what I'd love to say invoke a lambda, something in like 3 seconds. Like, this would be so nice, and it bothers me if they don't have this. I've made one time, but it gets annoying. It used coroutines and it had some issues. Yeah, it's really annoying that Unity doesn't have that. It's one of those things that bothers me. So in awake, we can just say invoke start level in 1 second. player 1 second to get oriented, and then we'll invoke start level. Yeah, okay. So let's just get rid of these asteroids. Oops. Get rid of these. Okay, and then we'll just spawn the large asteroid. But yeah, and we do need to increment the level as well. So we'll say level plus plus. No, current level plus plus. There we go. Okay. Pretty easy to set up as coroutine. I wonder what problems you ran into. I think there's something where if the game object itself gets destroyed after or before the invoke happens, I think there's an issue. I might be wrong about that, but I thought that was an issue that I had run into. There's also like you have to do some weird stuff when you call it. You can't just call invoke, you have to actually like, yeah, I think it had something to do with the game object getting destroyed when the coroutine was called on it. Oh yeah, that's just nature coroutines. Yeah. I guess what I could do, so what I could do is I could have a, can host the coroutine in the second class if you need to. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is I could have like some kind of mono behavior. And so the idea would be that it would have a static method and a static reference. And so whenever you called invoke, check if the static reference existed. If it did, call the coroutine on that static instance. If not, call the static method, which would spawn a new game object, tell it not to be destroyed, then add an instance of that mono behavior to it. And then basically the idea would be that, yeah, exactly, you'd basically create an empty game object that just couldn't be destroyed and just lived there forever. That would probably work. It's just kind of funny. 0 to, not that, asteroid count. There we go. But yeah, I could do that. Yeah, okay, that would make more sense. I'll probably do that then. Probably set something up like that. Okay. That spawned a bit close. Alright, let's set this to 2. Probably need some kind of like spawn animation for the asteroids as well, rather than just having them appear. I usually use the camera or something. That might work actually, because then you yeah, it's very unlikely that you would destroy the camera. I mean, in a game like this, you could probably just argue that you'll never destroy the camera and it's fine. Okay, does this work? Alright, so the problem that I'm thinking of is actually, since we can't guarantee that the player's not in the center of the screen, well, that's probably fine. Alright, I kind of like this. I think it looks, close enough to the original Asteroids. I mean, to be fair, the Asteroids was done in what, the 80s? Was it mid-80s when Asteroids was a thing? Wikipedia. Was it mid-80s? When was Asteroids made? I've actually got to check this now. Was it before that? Whoa. This is not right. Asteroids. It was in... Oh, it was early 80s. Okay. Oh, so it's early 80s and then it was released for the Game Boy in 92? That's amazing. So yeah, early 80s. Okay. I was gonna say, early 80s people were probably doing LSD anyway. So, well, actually no. LSD was probably banned in the 80s, wasn't it? I don't know. Just thinking, maybe it's probably closer to the original than we're aware. Yeah, okay. Let's, okay. Let's do the thing that Percentage Guy wanted to do and make everything kind of like pulse a little bit. Or at least the asteroids. I think it'll look better if it's just the asteroids, actually. Some kind of pulse component. Let's try that. And then what we'll do with this is we will just say the Adonis as a kid had an original machine in the lobby. It's from 83. Yeah, I could imagine that the machine itself was probably made in 83. Like, I think that the release that they're showing is, I think it was like on the release that they were showing is probably like the original software. And then I think what it said was that the machines, like they built like the Asteroid arcade machines, and I think those had like the hardware sort of acceleration for the ship. Like they had the ship encoded into the hardware so it'd be a little bit faster. That's what I think that said. So in this case, we'll say that the transform dot local scale. Probably need to figure out the base scale as well. So private void awake, and then what we'll do is we'll have it protected vector 3. This will be the base scale. Base scale, and that's going to be equal to the transform dot scale or dot local scale. Yeah, local scale. We're going to say the local scale is equal to base scale. Looking it up, looks like they started making. Oh, really? They made the machines in 79. Okay. It's equal to vector 3.1 plus. Or no, vector 3.1. And we'll say times, and we'll have some kind of amplitude or public, no, protected, no, protected. One of these days I'll be able to type protected. Float magnitude. Magnitude will be, I don't know, 0.1. And then a protected float speed equals 0 dot, or say 1, no, I'll say 2. That's generally okay. We'll just serialize these so that we can mess with them later. This will be plus that times the magnitude. A scale times vector 1 times the magnitude. That's not what we want. We want plus that. Yeah, okay. And so what that will do is that will cause it to change size a little bit. Really what we want, I'm trying to think, this is not exactly what we want. We want something else other than this. It's the magnitude times mathf dot sine time dot time times speed, something like this, times that. I think that's roughly about right. So now if we add these into the asteroid components, so asteroid, and this will be pulse. And let's just copy this and paste it a couple times. Actually, let's not worry about it. And in small, we'll do that. All right. So now they should pulse a little bit. Okay, probably needs to be a little bit faster than that. Okay, let's see if we can multi-edit these. I think we can. All right, let's say speed as at 3 and then 0.3 as the size change. It's probably fine. It's still really slow. I think okay. That's interesting. Right, let's say maybe 4 and then 0.15. Because that should be going like, well, 2 times a second. That seems really slow for some reason. What if I put you at 10? Okay, yeah, that is actually increasing the speed. Okay. Let's try 8 maybe? That's a little bit better. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Maybe 6. That way it's like it's subtly visible, but it's not too agitating. Yeah, there we go. It looks kind of menacing, but not too bad. Of course, that makes the game much harder because you can't really, like, they don't have a constant size technically. They have a, non-constant size. Yeah, I think this is actually working out pretty well. I like it. Let's try to finish this level and see if we get 4 asteroids like we should. Oh, come on. You should lose a point of score every time you shoot. That'd be interesting. And you'd need to be a little bit more accurate. It's a neat trick. You can hook up the output of one of those machines to an oscilloscope and play the game on the oscilloscope screen. Well, that's interesting. You can hook up the output of one of those machines. I mean, yeah, I guess you could. Because that's how the rendering works. Oh, okay. Huh. That's very interesting. I guess that would make sense, right? Oh, that's really weird. I'm trying to think about how that would work out. Is there video of someone like doing that? Because I'd like to see that. Okay, we should get 5 here. Yeah, okay. We just get more each time. Alright. Yeah, very happy with that. Oh, there is. Okay. I'll look at that a bit later. That's kind of neat. Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out a bit later. Yeah, this does seem to be working. I do want the asteroids to sort of warp into existence, though. I want that to be a thing. I'm trying to think of how we can make that happen. Could set the initial scale to that. No, because we don't want this activating too soon. I don't know, I gotta think about it. Okay. Yeah, this does get really hard. This probably gets really hard after a while. We also need to work on the spaceships. I think the way that that's going to work is it's not going to really be the flying saucers. It's going to just be some random ship that comes like at a random angle or something. I don't remember how that worked in the original Asteroids. Like, I know that they had like the saucer, but I thought something triggered that. Like, I thought you had to destroy a certain number of asteroids per or not per second, but you had to destroy like 1 asteroid every X number of seconds, or you'd be attacked by the saucer. I thought that was a thing. Maybe I'm wrong. That's probably how I'll code it, though, is that you have to destroy asteroids every certain number of seconds, or you get attacked by the ship. Or maybe also shooting just decreases your score. Something like that. It's probably fair. So you're going to be there. Die. Okay. It would just get impossible. Okay. Okay, I think this is a good place to pause it, though. So I am going to... I'll be back in like 2 hours. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and it's been really good hanging out with you. Also, we got the new stuff set up. I don't know if you've seen it yet. So we got the new sort of pre-stream stuff, courtesy of Omar. And that's not the one. That's another intermission screen.